Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1, Shattered Foundation. The digital clock on my dashboard read 3:47 p.m. when my phone vibrated. I was finishing a client meeting downtown, another successful negotiation for Riker Construction, the company I'd built from nothing over 15 years of relentless work. I glanced at the unknown number, assuming it was another contractor. Your house. Now, your kids aren't safe. My blood froze. I called home immediately. No answer from Vanessa. No answer from my son's or daughter's phones either. I abandoned my briefcase on the conference table and sprinted to my car, breaking every speed limit between downtown Portland and our Lake Oswego estate. The tires of my Audi screeched as I pulled into the driveway, noticing both Vanessa's Range Rover and, bizarrely, my brother Perry's pickup truck. Something was very wrong. Perry was supposed to be in Seattle until next week. I burst through the front door, the grand foyer suddenly feeling like the entrance to a mausoleum. The house was eerily quiet except for hushed voices coming from the living room. "Vanessa!" I shouted. "Dylan! Meredith!" I rounded the corner to find Vanessa standing rigid beside the fireplace, her face drained of color. Perry stood at the bottom of the staircase, blocking the way up. "Nolan," Perry said, palms raised. "You need to calm down, man. Where are my kids?" I demanded, noticing Vanessa's smudged mascara and trembling hands. "They're fine," Perry insisted. "But don't go upstairs. It's not what you think." Vanessa suddenly lurched forward. "They made me. Please, don't look in their rooms." A chill ran down my spine. "Who made you do what?" When neither answered, I shoved past Perry and took the stairs two at a time. I heard their footsteps behind me, Vanessa's desperate pleas echoing through the hallway. I pushed open Dylan's door first, empty. Then Meredith's, also empty. Finally, I reached the guest bedroom at the end of the hall and twisted the knob. What I witnessed was unimaginable. My children, Dylan, 17, and Meredith, 15, sat bound to chairs, duct tape across their mouths, eyes wide with fear. Standing over them was a man I recognized instantly. Lawrence Woodfield, my business partner and supposed friend of 12 years. "Nolan," Lawrence said coolly, lowering the gun he'd been holding. "Right on time." Chapter 2, Revelation. "What the hell is this?" I roared, lunging forward only to feel Perry grab me from behind. "Easy," Lawrence warned, raising the gun again. "This is a conversation long overdue." Dylan and Meredith struggled against their restraints, muffled screams behind their gags. I forced myself to appear calmer than I felt, shifting into the negotiator mindset that had built my empire. "Let my kids go, Lawrence. Whatever this is about, it's between us." Lawrence laughed, a hollow sound I'd never heard from him before. "It's about family, Nolan. Specifically yours." Vanessa pushed past me, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't have a choice, Nolan." He threatened the kids. Lawrence motioned with his gun. "Show him, Vanessa. Show your husband what you've been hiding." With shaking hands, Vanessa pulled a manila envelope from behind a dresser and handed it to me. Inside were photographs, dozens of them, spanning back years. Vanessa and Lawrence together, intimately. The timestamps showed a relationship that had been ongoing for nearly a decade. 8 years, Nolan," Lawrence said. 8 years I've been sleeping with your wife while you built us an empire." The revelation hit like a physical blow. 8 years meant. "Meredith," I whispered, looking at my daughter, my supposed daughter, with new eyes. Her features, which I'd always attributed to Vanessa's side, suddenly took on a different cast. Lawrence's eyes stared back at me. "DNA test results are in there too," Lawrence confirmed. "Dylan's yours. Meredith isn't." Perry's grip on me loosened. "I just found out today, Nolan. Vanessa called me when Lawrence showed up with a gun. I came to help the kids." "And why tell me now?" I asked Lawrence, my mind racing to process this betrayal while simultaneously calculating how to get my children, at least Dylan, to safety. "Because you're pushing me out," Lawrence snarled. "The Mitchell contract. You're restructuring to minimize my stake. After everything I've contributed." "You contributed nothing but lies," I spat. "I built Riker Construction. You rode my coattails." Lawrence pressed the gun to Meredith's temple, causing her to whimper behind the tape. "You think you can just discard me? That my daughter should grow up calling another man father?" In that moment, rage crystallized within me into something cold and focused. I would get my family to safety. Then I would destroy everyone involved in this betrayal. even if that included my wife of 20 years and the girl I'd raised as my daughter. What do you want? I asked, my voice deadly calm. New terms, 50% ownership, full partnership, and acknowledgement of Meredith as my daughter. Behind us, sirens wailed in the distance. Lawrence's eyes widened. You called the police? He demanded of Vanessa. I didn't, she began, but Perry cut her off. I triggered the silent alarm when I first got here, he admitted. I was trying to buy time. Lawrence panicked, waving the gun between us. In that split second of distraction, I charged, tackling him to the ground. The gun discharged, the bullet splintering the ceiling as we wrestled. I slammed his wrist against the hardwood until the weapon clattered away. Police stormed the house moments later, finding me with my knee pressed into Lawrence's throat, his face turning purple, my children still bound in their chairs, and my wife and brother watching in horror as 15 years of restrained violence emerged all at once. As the officers pulled me off Lawrence, a clarity I'd never known before settled over me. Every person in this room except Dylan had betrayed me, and I would never, ever forgive any of them. Chapter 3. Aftermath. The next 48 hours passed in a haze of police statements, lawyer consultations, and uncomfortable hospital visits. Lawrence was arrested for kidnapping and assault. Vanessa, after extensive questioning, was released pending further investigation into her role in the incident. I moved Dylan and myself into the Four Seasons downtown while I processed what had happened and what would come next. Meredith stayed with Vanessa at her sister's place, a development that brought me no pain, only cold indifference. You should eat something, Dylan said, watching me stare out the hotel window at the city lights below. At 17, he suddenly seemed older, more perceptive. You haven't had anything since yesterday. I turned to my son, my only true family now, and managed a grim smile. I'm not hungry. Dad? He hesitated. What happens now? With Mom and Meredith, and everything? I sat beside him on the plush hotel sofa. Your mother and I are done. There's no coming back from this. And Meredith? His voice cracked slightly. Sister or half-sister, they'd grown up together. Lawrence's attorneys will push for paternity rights, I said flatly. Which works for me. I have no interest in raising another man's child. Dylan flinched at my coldness, but I couldn't soften this blow. The ruthlessness that had made me successful in business would now guide my personal life as well. Mom's called 6 times, he said, glancing at my silenced phone. She can call 100. I won't answer. My phone buzzed again, not Vanessa this time, but my lawyer, Benjamin Altman. What do you have for me, Ben? I asked, stepping onto the balcony for privacy. Lawrence made bail, Ben informed me. His family's got money, and Vanessa's been to see him. The news should have shocked me, but nothing could penetrate the icy resolve that had formed around my heart. Did you get what I asked for? Yes, Ben confirmed. Complete access to the company financials, personal accounts, all communications. And I've drafted the divorce papers with the terms you specified. And I pressed. And it's brutal, Nolan. She gets nothing. No alimony, no property, minimal child support for Meredith that will end when paternity is established. You're invoking the infidelity clause in your prenup and adding criminal conspiracy. Good, I said. File it tomorrow. And the other matter? Ben paused. The private investigator starts tomorrow. Full surveillance on all of them. But Nolan, are you sure about this? Revenge won't bring. I'm not interested in your personal advice, Ben. I cut him off. Just your legal expertise. After hanging up, I returned inside to find Dylan asleep on the couch, his face troubled even in slumber. I covered him with a blanket, my hand lingering on his shoulder. I promise you, I whispered, when this is over, we'll rebuild. But first, I'm going to make every one of them pay. That night, I created a new note on my phone titled simply The List. On it, I wrote 4 names. Vanessa Riker, Lawrence Woodfield, Meredith Woodfield, née Riker, Perry Riker. Beside each name, I wrote a single word, unforgivable. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number, the same one that had started this nightmare. Satisfied with what you found? The truth hurts, doesn't it? This is just the beginning. A friend. I stared at the message, a new realization dawning. Someone else was involved, someone who had wanted me to discover my wife's betrayal. But who? And why? The game was more complex than I'd thought, but I'd always been a quick learner. Chapter 4. Gathering Threads. 3 weeks after what Dylan had taken to calling the incident, I sat in my newly rented penthouse office downtown, surrounded by evidence boards and computer screens. The walls displayed surveillance photos, financial records, and timelines. A war room dedicated to understanding the full scope of the betrayal. My private investigator, Rosalind Baker, a former FBI agent with a reputation for ruthless thoroughness, spread new photos across my desk. Lawrence and Vanessa met again yesterday. She informed me, tapping a particularly damning image of them embracing outside a lakeside cabin. They're not even trying to be discreet anymore. And Perry? I asked, reviewing the other photos. Still playing both sides. He visits you, then reports back to them. Classic middle child syndrome. Can't pick a team. I pinned the new photos to the appropriate board. 3 weeks of investigation had revealed a betrayal far deeper than just an affair. Financial trails showed Lawrence and Vanessa had been systematically siphoning information about my clients and projects for years, allowing Lawrence to swoop in at crucial moments with solutions that made him look indispensable. What about the text? I asked. Any leads on who sent the original message? Rosalind shook her head. Burner phone purchased with cash. But I'm still working facial recognition on the convenience store footage. The mystery texter continued to send messages, always revealing new betrayals, always signing off as a friend. Their identity remained the most intriguing puzzle. My phone rang. Dylan's school. Mr. Riker? This is Principal Hargrove. There's been an incident with Dylan. He's physically fine, but he's been suspended for assaulting another student. I arrived at the school to find Dylan sitting outside the principal's office, knuckles bruised, face hard with an anger that mirrored my own. He deserved it, Dylan said immediately. Thomas Woodfield was running his mouth about Mom and his Uncle Lawrence. Said our whole family was a joke. Lawrence's nephew. Of course. Principal Hargrove emerged, looking grave. Mr. Riker, given the circumstances, we're suspending Dylan for 3 days. But considering the provocation and his previously spotless record, there will be no further action. In the car, Dylan stared out the window. Are you mad at me? For defending yourself? Never. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. But we don't let emotions control us, Dylan. We channel them. Like you're doing with those boards in your office? He challenged. Mom told me you haven't responded to a single message about visiting Meredith. She cries about it. Meredith isn't my concern anymore, I said flatly. She was your daughter for 15 years. She doesn't even know Lawrence, and she's terrified of him. I pulled into a parking lot, turning to face my son. What exactly did your mother tell you? That she made a mistake a long time ago, but she never stopped loving you. That Lawrence manipulated her. That she wants to fix things. I laughed bitterly. 8 years isn't a mistake, Dylan. It's a choice made thousands of times. Every morning she woke up next to me was a fresh lie. Dylan's phone buzzed. He checked it, his expression darkening. It's Mom again. She says she needs to talk to you. Something about threats she's receiving. Convenient timing, I observed. But this might be useful. Tell her I'll meet her. Public place. Tomorrow noon at Cardinal's restaurant. As we pulled back onto the road, my phone chimed with another text from a friend. Looking in the wrong direction, Nolan. The betrayal goes deeper. Check the lake house safe. A friend. The lake house safe contained only important documents and some family heirlooms. I'd already checked it after the incident. Nothing had been disturbed. Unless. Change of plans, I told Dylan. We're going to the lake house. In the master bedroom of our vacation property, I entered the code to the wall safe behind the Monet reproduction, Vanessa's favorite painting. Inside, everything looked untouched. Property deeds, insurance policies, my grandmother's jewelry. But something felt wrong. The stack of documents seemed thinner. I removed everything, checking each document against my mental inventory. That's when I noticed it. The false bottom I'd installed years ago had been disturbed. The secondary compartment where I kept my most sensitive information was empty. Gone were the detailed plans for Riker Construction's next 5 years, including proprietary building techniques I developed. Gone was the external hard drive containing client information and project specifications worth millions. Gone was the key to a safety deposit box containing bearer bonds, my emergency fund for Dylan's future. Someone took everything, I murmured. Dylan stood in the doorway. Dad, look at this. He handed me his phone. On the screen was a text from Meredith. Dylan, I'm scared. Lawrence keeps asking about Dad's projects and gets angry when I don't know anything. Mom cries all the time. Please help us. I stared at the message, pieces falling into place. This wasn't just about an affair or paternity. This was corporate espionage, meticulously planned and executed over years. And now they had my playbook for the future of my company. What do we do? Dylan asked. I pocketed his phone. We spring the trap and let them think they've won. Chapter 5. The Opening Gambit. Cardinal's restaurant occupied prime real estate overlooking the river, its timber and glass architecture a testament to the Pacific Northwest aesthetic. I arrived precisely at noon, choosing a table with clear sightlines to all exits. Vanessa arrived 7 minutes late, the delay calculated to make me wait, a power play I recognized from our marriage. Thank you for coming, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. Despite everything, she was still beautiful. Honey blonde hair falling in waves around a face that had once been the center of my world. You mentioned threats, I said without preamble. Vanessa's eyes darted around before she reached into her purse, sliding a folded paper across the table. These started coming 3 days ago, slipped under my sister's door, left on my car. I unfolded the paper, printed in large block letters. I know what you stole. Return it or suffer. Any idea what they're referring to? I asked, keeping my expression neutral. No, that's why I'm terrified. I haven't stolen anything. Her hand trembled as she reached for her water glass. I think Lawrence might have enemies. People who know about us. And how is Meredith handling all this? I asked, watching her reaction closely. Pain flashed across her face. She misses you. She doesn't understand why you won't see her. I think she understands more than you give her credit for, I countered. Has she been spending time with Lawrence? Vanessa hesitated. He wants to bond with her, but she refuses. Nolan, regardless of biology, you're her father. The only one she's ever known. I leaned forward. Tell me about the safe at the lake house, Vanessa. Her eyes widened slightly, a tell she'd never been able to control. What about it? Someone emptied the hidden compartment. Took everything of value. I didn't know there was a hidden compartment, she protested. Lying still comes easily to you, I observed. I showed you that compartment on our 10th anniversary when I put your grandmother's necklace in there for safekeeping. Vanessa's face crumpled. Nolan, please. Whatever you think happened, it's not what you believe. Lawrence, he changed after you started pushing him out. Became obsessive, controlling. He threatened me, threatened the kids. Yet you still sleep with him, I said, sliding my phone across the table to show her the surveillance photos. She stared at the images, color draining from her face. You're having me followed? I'm documenting a criminal conspiracy, I corrected. Corporate espionage, theft of intellectual property, fraud. I never wanted any of this, she whispered. I made a mistake years ago, and it spiraled. Lawrence has leverage over me now. What leverage? Financial, she admitted. I've been moving money for him, helping him hide assets from his ex-wife. If it comes out, I could face charges. This was new information. Useful. And the safe contents. Vanessa looked down. Lawrence made me tell him about it. Said he needed insurance against you. I didn't know what was in there, I swear. Our food arrived, neither of us having ordered. The waiter placed salmon for her, steak for me. Our usual orders at this restaurant. Vanessa looked confused. I took the liberty, I explained. Old habits. This small gesture, remembering her favorite meal, accomplished exactly what I'd intended. A flicker of hope crossed her face. She thought she was making progress, that my resolve might be softening. Nolan, she said, reaching for my hand across the table. We built a life together. 20 years. That has to count for something. I allowed the contact briefly before withdrawing. It counted for everything. That's why your betrayal can never be forgiven. Her eyes filled with tears. What about Meredith? Will you see her at least? She's innocent in all this. No one is innocent, I said coldly. But I'll consider it. On one condition. Anything, Vanessa said quickly. Give me the contents of the safe. Everything Lawrence took. She hesitated. He keeps everything locked in his home office. I don't have access. Find a way, I insisted. Or I'll proceed with charges against both of you. As we finished our meal in tense silence, my phone buzzed with a text from Dylan. Uncle Perry just showed up at the penthouse. Says he needs to talk to you urgently. Perfect timing. The pieces were moving exactly as planned. I have to go, I told Vanessa, signaling for the check. Think about what I said. You have 48 hours to get those materials back. As I stood to leave, she grabbed my wrist. Nolan, there's something else you should know. Those threatening notes? Lawrence is getting them too. Someone else is involved. Someone who knows everything. I nodded as if this was news to me. 48 hours, Vanessa. Then I go to the FBI. Chapter 6, Hidden Pawns. Perry was pacing my penthouse living room when I arrived, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Dylan sat on the couch, watching his uncle with undisguised suspicion. Thanks for coming, Perry said nervously. I've been trying to reach you. I've been busy, I replied, pouring myself a scotch. What's so urgent? Perry glanced at Dylan. Maybe we should talk privately? Anything you have to say, you can say in front of my son, I insisted. Perry ran a hand through his hair, a gesture we shared, inherited from our father. Lawrence is unraveling, Nolan. He thinks someone's trying to destroy him. Karma's a bitch, I observed coldly. This is serious. He's paranoid, drinking heavily. He's convinced you're behind the threats, the break-ins at his office. I raised an eyebrow. Break-ins? Someone ransacked his home office 2 nights ago. Didn't take anything valuable, just papers, files. He's installed security cameras everywhere now. This was news to me, and concerning. Someone else was moving pieces on the board. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Perry looked pained. Because I'm worried about Meredith and Vanessa. They're staying with him now, Lawrence insisted. Said they needed protection. But I think he's just keeping them under control. Dylan stood up. Meredith is with him? She told me she was at Aunt Clarissa's. Lawrence picked them up yesterday, Perry confirmed. Vanessa didn't want to go, but she always does what Lawrence wants in the end, I finished bitterly. Perry approached me, voice lowered. There's more. I found something in Lawrence's desk when I was at his house last week. A draft of new partnership papers for Riker Construction, dated 3 years ago. He's been planning to take control of the company for years. Why show me this now? I demanded. You've clearly known about their relationship. I only found out recently, Perry insisted. After it all blew up. And I've been trying to figure out whose side to take. The fact that you had to think about it tells me everything I need to know, I said dismissively. Perry handed me a USB drive. Lawrence's financial records. Bank accounts, including offshore ones. Transactions between him and Vanessa going back years. And something else. Payments to someone named Alexander Voss. Large payments. I took the drive, suspicious of this sudden cooperation. Why the change of heart, Perry? My brother looked ashamed. Lawrence approached me last month. Wanted me to testify in the custody case for Meredith. To say I'd witnessed you being abusive to Vanessa over the years. Dylan sucked in a breath. That's a lie. I know, Perry acknowledged. I refused. That's when I realized how far he was willing to go. This isn't just about an affair anymore, Nolan. He wants to destroy you completely. After Perry left, I plugged the USB into my computer, scanning the contents while Dylan watched over my shoulder. Can we trust him? Dylan asked. Absolutely not, I confirmed. But the information might still be useful. The financial records revealed exactly what Perry had described, plus something more troubling. Alexander Voss had received over $2 million from Lawrence in the past 5 years. Payments labeled only as consultation. Who's Alexander Voss? Dylan wondered. I shook my head. I don't know, but I intend to find out. My phone chimed with another text from a friend. Voss is the key. He's been watching you for years. Cabin 17, Mount Hood Forest. Midnight tomorrow. Come alone. A friend. I stared at the message, a cold feeling settling in my stomach. This mysterious ally knew too much, which made them dangerous. What is it? Dylan asked, noticing my expression. I showed him the message. Someone's been manipulating this situation from the beginning. I think it's time I find out who. You can't go alone, Dylan protested. It's obviously a trap. Every trap can become an opportunity, I told him. But you're right. I'll need backup. I called Rosalind, explaining the situation. I don't like it, she said after hearing my plan. But if you're determined, I'll position a team in the woods surrounding the cabin. First sign of trouble, we move in. That night, as Dylan slept in the guest room, I reviewed everything we'd learned. Someone named Voss was receiving payments from Lawrence. My mysterious texter knew about Voss and wanted to meet. Perry had suddenly decided to help me after months of fence-sitting. Too many variables. Too many unknown players. My phone rang. Vanessa. I can get the files, she said without greeting. Lawrence keeps everything in a safe in his basement. I know the combination. When? I asked. Tomorrow night. He'll be at a client dinner until late. I can bring everything to you around midnight. Midnight, the same time as my meeting with a friend. Not possible, I told her. I have an engagement. This is our only chance, Nolan, she insisted. He's talking about leaving the country, taking Meredith with him, using his money and connections to destroy you legally before he goes. I considered my options. Fine. The penthouse. 11:30 p.m. Come alone. After hanging up, I texted Rosalind. Change of plans. Need you at my penthouse at 11 tomorrow night. Vanessa is bringing the stolen files. Her response was immediate. What about the cabin meeting? I'll handle it, I assured her. Just be ready for a potential double cross at the penthouse. I went to bed that night with my mind racing, sensing that everything was coming to a head. Tomorrow would determine whether my plan succeeded or failed catastrophically. What I couldn't know was that someone else had been monitoring my communications all along, anticipating my every move, and preparing a counterstrike that would change everything. Chapter 7. Convergence. The next evening, rain pounded against the penthouse windows as I prepared for Vanessa's arrival. I'd sent Dylan to stay with his best friend's family for the night, ignoring his protests. Whatever happened, I didn't want him caught in the crossfire. At 10:45, Rosalind arrived with two of her team members, former military contractors who now worked for her private security firm. The building's secure, she informed me, checking her weapon before concealing it under her jacket. We've got eyes on all entrances. If this is a setup, we'll know before they make it to the elevator. And the cabin situation? I asked. My associate Martin is positioned there with thermal imaging. If anyone shows, we'll know. At 11:27, the security desk called to announce Vanessa's arrival. Rosalind and her team took positions out of sight while I stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, back to the door, a deliberate power position. A minute later, the elevator dinged. It's open, I called, not turning around. Footsteps approached, too heavy for Vanessa. I spun around to find not my wife, but Lawrence standing in my living room, Perry beside him looking deeply uncomfortable. Surprised? Lawrence asked, smirking. Not particularly. I replied, maintaining my composure. Where's Vanessa? Safe, Lawrence assured me. Unlike you. He pulled out a gun, the same one he'd used to threaten my children. Perry's eyes widened. Whoa, Lawrence. You said we were just going to talk. Plans change, Lawrence said dismissively. Your brother needs to understand his position. I kept my face impassive, knowing Rosalind was watching, waiting for my signal. And what position is that? One of complete defeat, Lawrence declared. I have your wife. I have your daughter. Well, my daughter. I have your company's future plans. By this time tomorrow, your clients will be jumping ship to my new venture. All that effort, I observed. 8 years of sleeping with my wife. Stealing my intellectual property. Paying off this mysterious Voss person. Tell me, was it worth it? Lawrence's expression faltered. How do you know about Voss? I know everything, Lawrence, I bluffed. Every offshore account. Every payoff. Every blackmail scheme. The question is, does Vanessa know what you've really been up to? Perry edged away from Lawrence, sensing the situation deteriorating. Lawrence, maybe we should just go. This isn't. Shut up. Lawrence snapped. Your brother destroyed my marriage years ago. Took clients that should have been mine. This is justice. I laughed coldly. This is pathetic. You couldn't build your own success, so you decided to steal mine, including my wife and child. Lawrence raised the gun higher. You always thought you were better than me. The self-made man who started with nothing. Did you ever tell Vanessa that your first major client came through my family connections? That without me, you'd still be pouring concrete foundations. Is that what this has been about? Wounded pride. It's about what's mine. Lawrence shouted. The company should have been equal partners from the beginning. Instead, you took majority control and treated me like an employee. I stepped closer, ignoring the gun. Because that's what you are, Lawrence. An employee. A mediocre one at that. Lawrence's hand trembled with rage. You think I won't shoot you? Right here. If that was your plan, you would have done it already, I observed calmly. Now put the gun down before my security team puts you down. On cue, Rosalind and her associates emerged from hiding, weapons trained on Lawrence and Perry. Lawrence's face contorted with fury. You think this changes anything? I still have everything I need to destroy you. Not quite, came a female voice from the elevator. We all turned to see Vanessa standing there, clutching a large leather portfolio. Behind her stood Meredith, eyes red from crying. What are you doing here? Lawrence demanded. You were supposed to wait in the car. I'm done waiting, Vanessa declared. Done hiding. Done being controlled. She stepped forward, placing the portfolio on my coffee table. Everything he took from the safe. All of it. Lawrence lunged for her, but Rosalind's associate intercepted him, disarming him with practiced efficiency. You stupid bitch. Lawrence spat at Vanessa. After everything I've done for you. You've done nothing but manipulate and threaten me for years, Vanessa replied, voice steady despite her evident fear. Used my one mistake to control my entire life. She turned to me. I can't undo what I did, Nolan. But I can stop it from destroying anything else. Perry stepped forward. Nolan, I swear I didn't know about the gun. I thought we were just going to talk. Save it, I cut him off. You chose your side long ago. Meredith approached me hesitantly. Dad, I mean Nolan. Not now. I interrupted, turning to Rosalind. Get Lawrence secured. Perry too. You can't hold me here. Perry protested. Watch me, I replied coldly. As Rosalind's team zip-tied Lawrence and Perry, my phone buzzed with an alert from Martin at the cabin. Subject approaching cabin on foot. Male, approximately 60 years old. Carrying briefcase. The mysterious friend had arrived at the meeting point. I showed the message to Rosalind. I need to go. Now, she asked incredulously. What about them? She gestured to our captives. Keep them secure. I'll be back in 2 hours. I turned to Vanessa and Meredith. You two stay here as well? We're not finished. Nolan, please, Vanessa began, but I was already heading for the elevator. Dad, wait. Meredith called out, the word dad hitting me like a physical blow. I hesitated, then continued without looking back. As the elevator doors closed, I heard Lawrence's desperate voice. He's going to see Voss. Stop him. The final piece was about to fall into place. Chapter 8. The Architect. The drive to Mount Hood took just over an hour, the forested road slick with rain and treacherous in the darkness. I kept the headlights off as I approached the cabin area, parking a quarter-mile away and proceeding on foot with only a small tactical flashlight to guide my way. Martin materialized from the trees like a ghost. Subject entered the cabin 20 minutes ago. No other movement since. Anyone else in the area? Not that we've detected, he confirmed. But visibility is poor in this weather. I handed him my phone. If I'm not out in 30 minutes, call this number. I'd programmed an FBI agent Teresa Hammond's direct line, a former client who owed me a favor. The cabin was small and rustic, a dim light visible through rain-streaked windows. I circled it once, confirming no other exits beyond the front door and a small bathroom window too narrow for an adult to escape through. Taking a deep breath, I knocked firmly. It's open, called a voice from inside. I entered cautiously, hand near the concealed weapon at my waist. The cabin's interior was spare, a table, 2 chairs, a small kitchenette, and a wood stove providing both heat and the room's only illumination. Seated at the table was an older man with silver hair and aristocratic features, dressed in an expensive suit despite the wilderness setting. Before him sat a leather briefcase and a bottle of bourbon with 2 glasses. Nolan Riker, he greeted me. Finally we meet in person. I'm Alexander Voss. I remained standing. You're a friend. He smiled thinly. I prefer to think of myself as an interested observer. Please sit. We have much to discuss. I prefer to stand, I replied coldly. Why have you been sending me those texts? What's your connection to Lawrence? Voss poured himself a drink. Lawrence Woodfield is merely a pawn, a useful idiot with resources and a convenient weakness for your wife. You orchestrated this, I realized. The affair, the betrayal, all of it. He laughed. Give me some credit, but not too much. The affair was organic enough. Your wife was lonely, Lawrence was attentive. I simply nurtured the situation once I discovered it. Why? I demanded. What could you possibly gain from destroying my family? Voss studied me for a long moment. Does the name Thomas Riker mean anything to you? The question caught me off guard. My father. He died when I was 12. Construction accident. Is that what your mother told you? Voss asked, his tone suddenly sharp. A chill ran through me. What are you talking about? Voss opened his briefcase, removing a file which he slid across the table. Thomas Riker didn't die in an accident. He was murdered after he discovered that his construction company was being used to launder money for certain criminal enterprises in Portland. I stared at the file, but didn't touch it. You're lying. See for yourself, Voss insisted. Police reports. Autopsy findings suppressed by a corrupt medical examiner. Witness statements that mysteriously disappeared from evidence. What does this have to do with me? I asked, though a terrible suspicion was forming. Everything, Voss said simply. Because the man who ordered your father's murder was my brother, Victor Voss. And you, Nolan, have spent the last 15 years systematically destroying every business connection my family ever had in this state. The revelation hit me like a physical blow. I never targeted your family. I didn't even know. Of course you didn't know consciously, Voss interrupted. But subconsciously, you were drawn to the same industries, the same clients. One by one, you took contracts from companies connected to our interests. Cost us millions. So this was revenge, I concluded. For something I didn't even know I was doing. Voss shook his head. Not revenge. Insurance. I needed leverage over you before you destroyed everything. Lawrence provided that opportunity. By sleeping with my wife and fathering a child? I asked incredulously. The affair was convenient, Voss explained. But what I really needed was access to your business plans, your client relationships. Lawrence was motivated by greed and ego, the perfect combination for manipulation. I finally sat down, processing this information. You've been paying Lawrence to spy on me. I've been paying Lawrence to be my eyes inside your company, Voss corrected. To identify which of your moves might impact my family's interests. The affair with your wife was just a bonus. It gave him access to your home, your personal life. And the text that started all this. I asked, why expose them now? Voss smiled coldly. Because Lawrence became a liability. Too emotionally involved. Too unstable. I needed you to know what was happening so you could handle the problem for me. You expected me to kill him, I realized. I expected you to destroy him, Voss clarified. Whether that destruction was literal or figurative didn't matter to me. But I knew your reputation. The ruthless businessman who never forgives a betrayal. Lawrence signed his own death warrant the moment he touched your wife. I stood up abruptly. You misjudged me. I'm not a murderer. Perhaps not, Voss conceded. But you are a destroyer, Nolan. You'll dismantle Lawrence's life piece by piece. You'll leave him with nothing. And once you're done, I'll step in to offer him a way out, in exchange for certain considerations. And what about Vanessa? Meredith? Were they just collateral damage in your game? Voss shrugged. Family is always collateral damage in men's wars. You should know that better than most. Why tell me this now? I demanded. You could have remained in the shadows. Because we've reached an inflection point, Voss explained, leaning forward. My brother is dying. Cancer. He wants to make amends before the end, including with the son of Thomas Riker. Amends. I repeated incredulously. He had my father killed, and has regretted it every day since, Voss claimed. He wants to meet you. To explain. To offer restitution. I laughed bitterly. There is no restitution for murdering someone's father. There's the truth, Voss countered. Isn't that what you've been seeking all along? The truth behind every betrayal. He was manipulating me, I knew. Yet the possibility of finally understanding what had happened to my father, the real story, not the sanitized version my mother had told me, was almost irresistible. What happens now? I asked. Voss closed his briefcase. That depends on you. Lawrence is finished, we both know that. Your marriage is over. But your company remains. Your son remains. And now you have the truth about your father. What do you want from me? Nothing right now, Voss said, standing. Consider this information a gesture of good faith. My brother is at Providence Hospital, room 412. He has perhaps a week left. Whether you visit him is your choice. As Voss moved toward the door, I called after him. This doesn't change anything. If what you're saying is true, your family destroyed mine first. Voss paused in the doorway. There's something you should know about Meredith. Lawrence isn't her father. My heart seemed to stop. What? DNA doesn't lie, Voss said. But Lawrence's ego does. He convinced himself, and Vanessa, of his paternity because it served his purposes. Gave him control over your wife. Then who? She's yours, Nolan. Always has been. With that parting revelation, Voss disappeared into the rain, leaving me alone with a file full of explosive truths and even more questions than before. Chapter 9. Unforgivable. The drive back to Portland passed in a blur, my mind reeling from Voss's revelations. If what he claimed was true, about my father, about Meredith, Everything I thought I knew had been built on lies. I called Martin. Follow Voss. I want to know everywhere he goes, everyone he contacts. Already on it, he confirmed. He's heading back toward Portland. Next, I called Rosalind. Any developments? Lawrence tried to escape, she reported. Got himself tasered for the effort. Perry's been cooperative, mostly crying about family loyalty. Vanessa and Meredith are waiting in the guest room. And the portfolio Vanessa brought. Everything seems to be there. All the files, the hard drive, even the safety deposit box key. I ended the call, then dialed a new number, Vanessa's obstetrician, Dr. Eliza Montgomery. Despite the late hour, she answered. Dr. Montgomery, this is Nolan Riker. I apologize for calling at this hour, but it's an emergency. Mr. Riker? Is everything all right with Vanessa or Meredith? I need to verify something about Meredith's birth, I said directly. Was a paternity test ever conducted? There was a long pause. Mr. Riker, you know I can't disclose. Doctor, my family is falling apart based on a claim about Meredith's paternity. I need to know the truth. Another pause. There was no paternity test because there was never any question. You were present for the birth. The blood typing matched. There was no reason to test. But if Lawrence Woodfield claimed paternity, that would be scientifically impossible, Dr. Montgomery interrupted. Meredith has a rare blood antigen that appears in your family line. Lawrence couldn't possibly be her biological father. Relief flooded through me, followed immediately by rage. They had lied about the most fundamental thing a parent could imagine, his own child's paternity. Thank you, doctor, I said, ending the call. By the time I reached the penthouse, my course was set. This ended tonight. I found Lawrence and Perry still secured in the living room, Rosalind's team keeping watch. Vanessa and Meredith emerged from the guest room when they heard my arrival. Everyone sit down, I commanded, my voice leaving no room for argument. This ends now. Meredith looked terrified, Vanessa resigned. Lawrence remained defiant while Perry seemed to have aged years in the hours I'd been gone. I've just come from a meeting with Alexander Voss, I announced, watching Lawrence's face drain of color. I know everything. The arrangement you had. The payments. The spying. Nolan, I can explain, Lawrence began. Shut up, I cut him off. You've said enough lies to last a lifetime. I turned to Vanessa. Did you know Meredith is my biological daughter? Vanessa's eyes widened in genuine shock. What? No, Lawrence said. Lawrence lied, I stated flatly. I just confirmed it with Dr. Montgomery. Meredith has the same rare blood antigen as my father and me. Lawrence couldn't possibly be her father. Meredith gasped, looking between us all in confusion. So you are my real dad? I've always been your real dad, I told her, my voice softening slightly. Biology just confirms what was always true. Lawrence shook his head desperately. No, that's impossible. Vanessa told me. I never told you anything. Vanessa cried. You convinced me. You showed me supposed evidence. I nodded to Rosalind, who cut Lawrence's restraints. You have exactly 1 minute to explain yourself before I have you arrested for corporate espionage, kidnapping, and fraud. Lawrence stood, rubbing his wrists. Voss approached me 5 years ago. Said he needed information about your business dealings. Offered a substantial payment. It seemed harmless at first, just reporting on contracts, clients. And my wife? My daughter? Were they just bonus prizes? I asked coldly. The affair started before Voss, Lawrence admitted. But he encouraged it. Said it gave me leverage. When Vanessa got pregnant the second time, he suggested I claim paternity. Created false evidence. You manipulated me for 15 years, Vanessa whispered, horror dawning on her face. Used my guilt over one mistake to control everything. I loved you, Lawrence insisted. Everything I did was for us. Enough, I interrupted. Here's what happens now. Lawrence, you're going to sign over your entire stake in Riker Construction. You're going to confess to corporate espionage in writing. Then you're going to leave Portland and never contact my family again. And if I refuse? Lawrence challenged, a hint of his old arrogance returning. I smiled coldly. Then I release everything I have on you and Voss to the FBI. His brother might be dying, but the Voss family still has plenty to lose. How long do you think you'd survive once they know you've been exposed? Lawrence paled. You wouldn't. Try me, I invited. I've already arranged for Agent Hammond to receive everything if I don't cancel the automated email by morning. Defeated, Lawrence slumped back into his chair. What choice do I have? None, I confirmed. I turned to Perry. As for you, brother. Perry looked up, eyes pleading. Nolan, I was trying to protect the family, to keep things from exploding. By playing both sides? By considering lying about me being abusive? I shook my head in disgust. You're no longer welcome in my home or my business. The family cabin is yours. Sell it, keep it, I don't care. But we're done. Nolan, please, Perry began. We're done, I repeated firmly. I turned finally to Vanessa and Meredith. Vanessa, I'm filing for divorce. I'll provide fair settlement terms, but our marriage is over. The betrayal might have been built on Lawrence's lies, but you chose to continue it for years. Vanessa nodded, tears streaming down her face. I understand. I never expected forgiveness. Just, please don't shut out Meredith. I looked at my daughter, truly my daughter, her face so like mine in its stubbornness and intelligence. Meredith stays with me. If you want to contest that, we can let her decide. Meredith stepped forward. I want to stay with you, Dad. If that's okay. It's more than okay, I assured her, allowing myself the first genuine smile in weeks. Dawn was breaking as Rosalind's team escorted Lawrence away to sign the necessary paperwork. Perry left without another word, the weight of his choices visible in his slumped shoulders. Vanessa agreed to move to her sister's while divorce proceedings began. As the penthouse emptied, I found myself alone with my children, both of them, Dylan having returned early that morning. What happens now, Dad? Dylan asked. I looked at the Voss file on the table, thinking of the dying man in Providence Hospital who had ordered my father's murder decades ago. Now we rebuild, I said, placing an arm around each of them. And we remember who we can trust. My phone buzzed with a final text from Voss. Closure awaits. Room 412. I deleted the message. Victor Voss could die without my forgiveness. Some betrayals were simply unforgivable. Outside, the rain had stopped. A new day was beginning. Not a clean slate. I would never forget or forgive those who had betrayed me, but a fresh chapter, written on my terms. Let's go home, I told my children. The real work starts now. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.